Hello! So today I'm going to try and convince you to abandon VLOOKUP and instead use index plus match functions in Google Sheets. So a lot of folks know about VLOOKUP. It's for when you need to look up a value in a table, right? But there's actually a much more powerful, flexible, awesome alternative to VLOOKUP, and it is using the index plus match functions. So let's show you. So for this video, I created a data set of your wedding guests. And so here you have the name, the email, the dish that they ordered, and the table that you're placing them at. So let's start with the match function. Match scans your data for a specific value that you give it, and then it returns its index, aka its position. So it's going to take 3 arguments, the last of which is optional. So first it's saying, what am I searching for? So here we're going to search for Ross. And Ross is going to appear in this range. And this last argument is asking, hey, am I searching for a greater than, less than, or equal to exact? So because we're looking for a name in this case, we're looking for an exact match. So we're going to put a 0 here. And it's going to return 3, which means, hey, in that range that you gave me, for Ross is going to be the 3rd value in that range, which is correct. So let's move on to the index function. So the index function is going to fetch the value based on a provided row and column position. So it also takes 3 arguments. First, it's going to ask, hey, what table am I looking at? So it's going to look at this table. And let's say we want to see what Ross ordered for his dish. So we know Ross is the 3rd row. And we know that the dish column is the 3rd column in this table. So Ross ordered paella, right? Now that's a classic way of using index. I actually like to use it in a little bit of a different way, and this is going to become applicable when we're going to combine match and index functions together. So what I actually like to do is say, hey, the reference should actually be the column that you want the output from. So here we want to know what dish Ross is ordering. So we're only going to highlight this column. And then for the row, we'll keep that the same. We're looking at the 3rd row, which is what Ross is on. And then we're going to leave the column argument blank, which we can do. We can actually leave either the row or the column argument blank because it's only got 1 column. So it's only got 1 choice of a column to return. This is going to be what makes match and index powerful over VLOOKUP in certain situations. So we are going to cover that next. So now that we know what the index function does, the match function does, we can combine them together and make them more powerful than VLOOKUP. And so let's start with the question we had before, which is what dish did Ross order? And we'll use that same index function that we had. So look in the dishes range and return the 3rd row. Now, obviously, we don't want to hard code this value because we're not going to be scanning our tables manually and updating the row position for every person we're trying to look for, right? And so this is where the match function comes in, because the match function, remember, returns the row position of the value that you're searching for. So match, and we are searching for Ross in the name range, and it's going to be an exact match. And so now when we change this name, the output is going to change as well. Now the VLOOKUP function is definitely simpler. It's just going to use 1 function to write out. But let's look at why it's not as powerful as the index and match function. So quickly, I'm going to put in a VLOOKUP here. You're going to scan this table. You're going to look for the 3rd column, and this is not a sorted data set. And again, it's going to change the output as you change the name, as you change the lookup value. But if you have a table in which you are updating values, adding columns, deleting columns, VLOOKUP is not going to like that. It is very inflexible with changes, whereas index match is. So let's say, for example, you want to just move this column to here because you want to insert another column in column D. So index match, still working. VLOOKUP, no more, right? So let's just undo that one. The second benefit that comes right off the bat is that you can actually search to the left with index match. So you know for VLOOKUP, it's always looking for your search value in the first column of the range that you highlighted, and then it can only return columns to the right of that first column. Whereas index match really doesn't care. So let's say, for example, you are looking for the name of the person that corresponds to an email address. Maybe you're writing thank you cards after your wedding, and you just have everyone's email who sent you a gift online, and now you don't know who to write your thank you card to, the person with ninjablowfish@gmail.com, right? So here we can use index match, which is you're looking in this range and you're looking for this value, which is appearing in this range for an exact match. And oh, you're going to write your thank you card to Egypt. Whereas VLOOKUP, you can't do something like that because it always is going to look up that first column. So if I'm going to look up this search key, and here's the range, and I want to return that first value, it's not a sorted list. You can see that you have this error here, right? Did not find value ninjablowfish@gmail.com. That's because it's not in the first column. So those are two of the right off the bat benefits of using index plus match over VLOOKUP. Now there's even more benefits if you want to level up and do some advanced use cases. So let's go to those next. So the first power up advanced use case that you can use index match for is that you can make the match case sensitive by using the find function. So that's extremely helpful when you have data that is in a lot of different formats, which is basically all the data in the world. So for example, let's say we had this table of all of these inputs in various case formats, and then you have these outputs. This is a nonsensical table, but we can use the index match find. So what we do is we are gonna want this output, and then here what we want is we want to say find one, because what we're looking for is in the range of searching for this value. Here, return the row that is going to give you the value 1, which is the output of the find formula. And so here you can see it's correctly returning 2. If we were to do this in VLOOKUP, it's going to give you 1, which is incorrect. And we can switch these around and see it updates correctly to 3, this stays 1, and let's just look at the last one as well. This goes to 1, this just happens to coincidentally be correct. So with index match and find, you can make your search functions case sensitive. So the second power-up use case that I want to cover is that you can also make the value that you're looking for dynamic. So you can actually do something like, right now it's just dish, right? But let's write a formula so that now it's going to reference the whole entire table, because you'll see why. And we're going to do the same thing of look for the name in this range for an exact match. And then when it comes to the column argument, you're going to put another match argument. So what you're going to do is you're going to say match, look for the column name in this range, this horizontal range. Again, we want an exact match, right? Because now that's going to return the position of the column that you're looking for. So here it's still going to return paella, right? But let's say now you want to know email, you want to know table, and you want to know it for Egypt or Rory, or you want to know dish. Now it can update, and this is possible with index match. It makes it super, super powerful. Another advanced use case is that you can use index match with multiple criteria. So for example, you want to know who is sitting at the wedding table 1, which might be like the wedding party table, and order the rotisserie chicken. So there's 2 ways to do this. I actually like the concatenate method, so I'm going to show you that first. So what you're going to do is you are going to look at this range, and when you get to the match function, what you're going to do is you're actually going to search for two different values. So you're going to concatenate the two search values that you have, and where you're going to search for them is in this range and in this range, right? Corresponding. So C17 table is going to look in E2 to E7, and then C18, which is your dish, is going to look in range D2 to D7. You're still looking for an exact match, and you want to return the name. So that's a way to use concatenate. The other method is to use a pseudo matrix multiplication. And so the way that that's going to work is you want to do index and look in the whole range and match. And here what you're going to do is you're going to say match 1, and then you're going to search in the range of this matrix multiplication. So where your table is going to equal this range multiplied by where your dish is going to equal this range. Exact match, and looking for column 1, and you have the same answer. So the last point I will say in favor of index match is that with small data sets, you won't see the difference in speed between VLOOKUP and index match. But as you approach those extreme sizes of data sets, index plus match will maybe give you performance. It's dependent on a lot of variables, of course, but I've seen anywhere from 8 to 30% faster performance with index match. So that's all I have for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Have I been able to convince you to use index plus match instead of VLOOKUP? Tell me in the comments below. Thank you so much again for being here. Bye!